Good evening, folks. This is Andy Pedraza with Special Effects Academy. We're on the start of the week session in the Forex trading room for May 9th of 2021. We will be going through our standard agenda. I'll look at the prior week's results, our currency strength meter for the week, any fundamental announcements scheduled. Look at the major peers on the daily charts, any setups we see in progress, and a few words in conclusion. With that, we'll kick off with the ledgers. We're a couple of points up, back to break even on the long-term ledger, but that's not the full story, as the trades we currently have open are all showing significant profit. As the market opened about an hour ago, we were showing about a 10% unrealized profit on the account. Of course, it is unrealized, so that means that until we close out those trades, that is not money in our pocket yet. And I'm in no rush to close them because they do seem to be moving in our direction, especially the pound trades that are open. The pound is, I think, poised for a little bit of a boom, maybe this week, maybe into next. Not sure yet, but it is looking extremely positive for the pound right now. And of course, the dollar does continue heading down, and we're also trading the dollar down. So all in all our trades are looking quite good, with the possible exception of that euro pound long, which you can consider either a hedge or a much longer term trade. The pound, as I said, is having a good period. So not sure if it'll win or lose against the euro. Too soon to tell, but I'm keeping that trade open as well. On the intermediate term ledger, we continue to do well. We are at 7.99% gains for the year, which is a little bit over a month at this point. Our fiscal year does begin in April, so this account has been doing quite nicely so far. Let's see if we can continue that streak. We do have trades open, and they were showing an unrealized loss as the week ended and as the week begins about an hour ago. So we are underwater in some of these trades, especially the older Euro Swiss trade we still have open, which I haven't closed out, waiting to see if it'll come back in our direction. And again, it's not looking good. But I do follow my own rules and instructions, so that trade will remain open until it either fulfills or hits its stop loss. And it wasn't too far away from the stop loss as the week opened. We'll see what happens. But the other trades are looking good. Some of them starting to accumulate profit. So really the bummer there is that Euro Swiss trade. We'll see what happens with that in weeks to come, maybe even this week. And the short-term ledger, of course, we're still under the shadow of that same Euro Swiss trade all the way at the top. That was a huge hit. It was a carryover from last year's trading. Trading this year has not been bad, but of course, we're under the shadow of that bad trade. So we'll be recovering from that for a while. So this is the only account that is looking a little bit haphazard as the year begins. Notes and opportunities for improvement. Not a whole lot on the improvement front. I mean, we are doing what we need to be doing. At least that's my opinion. So more notes in this case. USD back to being weak. That's a good thing for us. We're trading in that direction. The Canadian dollar is riding very strongly on oil recovery. So as long as oil continues to go up, the CAD will also remain strong. We'll see if oil manages to continue that recovery. It's not a given. The Aussie and the Kiwi seem to be struggling, with the Aussie looking more the worse for wear. The Kiwi is not as bad. I think, though, that both of these currencies may be at the extreme limit of whatever strength they're going to gather. Doesn't mean they'll turn around immediately, but I think they're pretty much the trend is done. The euro, of course, stumbling last week. I don't think that's going to be a long-lived phenomena, so we'll have to wait and see if the euro comes back to us. Inflation concerns in the major economies are starting to overheat. I already said that last week, which can only get worse. Indeed, it is getting worse given all the money that is being printed out of thin air for stimulus purposes. So again, it's not looking good from an inflation perspective, but as I was pointing out to someone in a recent conversation, all of these economies are doing the same thing. Of course, the one doing it the most is the US, followed closely by the Eurozone. But in essence, every country out there is printing money. So even though you would say the dollar is going to weaken on inflation concerns, well, yeah, but all the other currencies are weakening too. So it's not clear whether they will just go in lockstep or one of them will gain the upper hand. My guess is that the dollar is going to continue stumbling very strongly, just simply because it is the biggest economy out of the ones we're tracking, the 8 major currencies, I call them. So there's that. So we'll continue tracking that and reporting on it. Relative strength meter for last week, we can see that the US dollar at your extreme left, the hardest hit. It was a complete rout for the dollar, one of the biggest drops we've seen in a while. And the yen at the far right continues weakening as well, though not as strongly as our friend the dollar. The euro, the CAD, and the Swiss, and I guess the pound were bullish, but not too much. It wasn't a huge move. The Kiwi and the Aussie staged a bit of a recovery throughout the week, so they were the biggest movers towards the upside. But again, I'm not too sure how long that can continue. I think both of those currencies are at the end of their rope. Fundamental announcements scheduled for the week? None. We will not be doing any live trading on fundamental announcements this week simply because there aren't none. What you see on the calendar is stuff that we normally don't live trade, and I'm not going to change that for the week just to give us something to trade live. It's just not worth it. So a lot of CPIs, GDPs, producer price indexes, and there is one interesting one with the monetary policy meeting accounts out of the European Central Bank Friday morning, but it's not, that doesn't tend to be a big mover of the market. So we're just not going to be doing any announcement trading this week. It's a blank calendar as far as I'm concerned. And with that, we move into the charts. I was talking about oil being in a boom. You can see that it's recovered all the way to the 65 level. Had a bit of a downtick back March into April, but is now recovered and back very near the top. Waiting to see if it does another breakout, which would, of course, be brilliant for the Canadian dollar. Not so good for some of the other currencies, but we'll see what happens. And well, that's that. That's what oil is doing right now. Very, very good recovery out of oil. And with that, we shift into the currencies. As we can see, starting with the dollar pairs, the dollar did not have a good week. So from Wednesday into Friday, it collapsed against the dollar, the euro dollar making a higher high from anything it's done since early February of this year, breaking that trend line quite nicely and heading towards the top. Pound dollar, same scenario, but not as deep. Again, the pound was coming out of having some issues in the prior month, but it is back at a previous high from about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, and it is angling towards that trend line and towards the top. I said this at the beginning of the call. I think the pound is going to move stronger, either this week, next week, in the very near future. So it is in your best interest, if you haven't done so, to start trading the pound up. USD JPY dropping, yen strength against the dollar. Even though the yen weakened overall, the dollar weakened more. So we finally have the USD JPY starting to point down. We'll see if we get a trend line break, something tradable. I would love to trade this one all the way to the bottom. USD Canadian, of course, double whammy here, dollar weakness and Canadian strength due to oil. It broke yet another bottom and is now in free fall. We have been trading this one quite successfully, and we will continue doing that. USD Swiss, same thing, finally made that big move I've been expecting for a while, and we caught pretty much all of it. So we're now trading it down at support, and as the week begins, I do expect it to go even further down. Swiss strength against the US dollar, USD weakness, either way, I'll take it. That's the trade. Aussie dollar moving up towards the end of the week, struggling before that, but Wednesday into Friday did a significant move up, breaking one of the trend lines. It may indeed get all the way to the top, but I don't think it will go much further, unless, of course, the dollar just weakens and weakens and weakens. But the Aussie on its own does not have the strength to move beyond the top. If it does move beyond the top, it's not the Aussie moving, it's the dollar weakening. Kiwi dollar, same thing, angling towards the top again. I do think the Kiwi has a little bit more strength in its back pocket than the Australian. And of course, we've got the dollar weakness. So this one may clear the top and keep going. But either way, I think we should be careful with both the Aussie and the Kiwi. They may not have much more to give. And with that, we're done with the dollar pairs. Aussie CAD hitting support and bouncing off on Friday, but it is a nice bearish move. So hopefully that will continue and give us something we can latch onto. If not, I'll happily trade it up. I'm agnostic on this one. Of course, I do think the CAD is gaining strength. So that may be a trip towards the bottom, but we'll see what happens. Euro Swiss, of course, breaking support. It's still not budging much from the underside of the Kumo. I still think there's a pretty good chance it will at some point head up on Euro strength, more so than anything the Swiss is doing, and we may get our money back and then some. As I said, we've got one open trade that I am reluctant to close out until it does fulfill either way. Euro pound, our hedge trade in one of the accounts, we are trading it up and it is pointing up. So it looks like at least we're staying at break even. But the pound is gaining strength as well. So I'm not sure this one isn't going to head towards the bottom again or even go sideways before it starts going up again. We'll see. Either way, it's a good hedge and I'm going to keep that one open. Euro JPY attacking the top on Friday, not quite getting there, but certainly getting very close. And this is another good trade if we see that breakout at the top. Euro Canadian towards the bottom. And again, more, well, I shouldn't say that. The CAD gained strength. I was going to say more on Euro weakness than CAD strength, but that's not true. The CAD had a pretty brilliant strength move, as we already covered. But I think the Euro weakened unnecessarily, and it's been weakening for a while now. I think there's a good chance, even with the Canadian continuing to get stronger, I think there's a pretty good chance this one will head back into that channel that is outlined in blue. We'll see. Pound JPY very near the top again, going sideways for pretty much all week. We did have yen weakness, however, so it looks like the yen and the pound are evenly matched for now. We'll have to wait and see which one gives up first or which one gains the upper hand. Aussie JPY breakout territory on Friday. It cleared the topmost level of resistance, and we'll have to see if that continues as the week begins. As I keep saying, I'm not too convinced that the Aussie has much more to give, but we'll see what happens. Euro New Zealand, sideways, big drop midweek, and then tried to recover Thursday into Friday, didn't quite manage it. So ending lower than it began the week, but certainly not dropping too much lower than where it was. Pound Canadian, another one I think is a pretty good opportunity to trade back towards them, at least the middle of the chart, perhaps even deeper. Even if the CAD continues gaining strength and oil is kind to the Canadian dollar, I think that the pound is going to have a major move pretty soon. Pound Swiss, another one retreating from the top, but again, another one I think that will go back to the top on pound strength anytime this week, next month, I don't care. It's in the cards. I don't think it will break support, and even if it does, it's not going to go too much deeper. Pound Aussie, yet another one for double reasons. I think the pound is going into strength. I also think that the Aussie is played out, which means that this one is a prime opportunity to trade it back towards the top of the chart around the 184, 185 level. So we'll be on the lookout for that opportunity. And that is the end of our charts, my friends. Setups we see in progress. The pound is making a comeback. I said that, and I stand by it. I think this week that's starting right now will give us a little bit to chew on regarding the pound. But again, seeing is believing. So wait till it happens and then do whatever you need to do. USD under extreme stress, that's not changing, and I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel for the dollar. It's just going to be dollar weakness until I say it's over, and I'm not saying that. The Australian is on the ropes, even though it is gaining strength somewhat, or at least it did last week. I think it is played out. The best hope for the Australian at this point is for it to go sideways. And again, that's a losing game. Eventually something will slip and we'll get a trip towards the bottom of the charts, but again, have to wait to see it happen. The yen still weak for no apparently good reason. It just is. So we'll have to wait for that to at some point turn around. When it does, great opportunities, but have to wait for it to happen. And the CAD, I said it before, it's riding the oil boom for all it's worth, and more power to the CAD. We're trading it in that direction almost across the board, exceptions being Euro CAD and Pound CAD, which I think will retrace towards the top, even if the CAD continues gaining strength. But definitely the CAD is a currency you want to be keeping a watch on right now. And last but not least, my parting words here, hunger. Speaking with prospects, which I do quite a lot, I get emails and chats and all that from people who either read my book or found our website or see some of the many answers on Forex I post online in different sites. A lot of them reach out to me, and I don't mind talking to people, so I do that a lot. And I've been getting pretty good at telling who's going to excel at trading and who isn't. And it really is the hunger. I have to see hunger in their eyes. And by that, I don't mean physical hunger. I don't mean you need to hit a McDonald's or a Red Robin's or anything like that. That's actually counterproductive. If you are in hunger mode, starving, your body needs food, that's not a good thing when you're trading. You don't want to be physically hungry. But a good trader has to want so much more than they already have, so much that they can taste it. If you're complacent, if you're happy in your current condition, it's not very likely you'll be any good at trading. It's not that you can't learn the mechanics, the basics of it, and even the psychologists, that you're not motivated. There's nothing in it for you because it's just becoming a hobby. And if trading is your hobby, well, there's easier hobbies, less painful ones, collect stamps or comic books or something. You're not likely to lose any money, and you'll get a lot more joy out of your collection that way. So don't pick up trading as a hobby. If that is your approach, I really, really honestly suggest you go elsewhere. The market is not kind to hobbyists. And I can tell you this straight up because at one point in time, trading was my hobby. I had a very high paying job. I was reluctant to leave it. I was getting really good at trading, but it wasn't my primary focus. And that was a huge mistake. So I ended up losing trades along the way, breaking rules here and there, simply because it wasn't the focus of my attention. What really changed was when I finally bit the bullet and I said, okay, I'm really good at this trading stuff. I know I can make a living off of it, but I have a job that pays me close to $200,000 a year. What do I do with that? So I walked into my boss's office and quit, basically, and then focused only on trading. And trading has been very kind to me. And the profits from trading, I've been turning into rental properties. So now I have several sources of income between the trading, between the rental properties, between the several businesses I've set up to support the rentals, plus my academy here where I teach people how to trade and all that. There's money coming in from all directions. And ultimately, it gets funneled. Whatever I don't spend on myself, it gets funneled into more rental properties. And the rental income has been rivaling the trading profits as well. So it's just like having, multiple sources of income at any one time. But more importantly, it's the money that's making money. I'm not the one that has to do much. I was explaining to somebody over the weekend that I may spend maybe half an hour on a busy day between the trading and the rental properties and this, that, and the other. The rest of the time, really don't have anything on my docket. I'm looking to improve myself, either learning some new skill, or I may be looking for more investments to place the money I'm not using right now, or I'm just enjoying life. But it started with that hunger. I did not want to get into my 70s and still have to hold down a job because I was never wealthy before I started trading and getting into rental properties. I was salary rich. There's a huge difference between having a lot of money because you're a well-paid salary man as opposed to having a lot of money because your money is making more money. When you're working for a salary, I don't care how big your salary is, it could be $1 million. If you stop working, that salary stops coming in. So you're salary rich, you're rich so long as that paycheck continues to come into your pocket. As soon as it stops, you're done. So if you manage to save up some money in your 401k or your pension or straight up savings or whatever, then you have a little bit of a buffer before you need to go and look out for a job again. But if you are investing your money and your money is making more money, you don't need to work. You can be, sitting in your lazy boy or at a beach or studying something in college simply because you want to learn it, not because you're going to use it for anything, just to improve yourself. You can be doing anything you want. You can even be in a coma and money is still coming in because your money is making more money every single day, even while you're fast asleep. So you have to start with the hunger. So give that some thought, seriously. And if that wasn't clear, if you want to discuss it, I'm here. Talk to me at any point, email me, set up a chat with me. I'll be happy to run through everything with you. And I'll open my books. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm not one of those people that are bullshitting you, showing up in Lamborghinis on a video that, they rented for the half hour they needed to do the video. I don't do that sort of stuff. My life, my finances are pretty much an open book, provided I like you and you ask nicely and I want to show you this stuff. So, ask away. I walk the talk. That's what I do. So that's it for me. A little bit long-winded this time around. I apologize for that. Any comments or questions from anyone? Okay, folks, then that's going to be a wrap for this start of the week. I will be posting this at some point. I got to do a bunch of stuff between today and tomorrow, but I will certainly publish this as soon as I get on a computer again. Thank you. Have a rest of a great weekend and talk to you tomorrow if you're subscribers. If not, talk to you next Sunday. Bye-bye.